Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's sunset safari. You can see that the giraffe have arrived. Everybody got their tickets. Now, this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now. So if you'd like to ask some questions, perhaps to myself, Jamie, Brent, and you'll be meeting someone a little bit later too. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can chat to us via the YouTube chat. I suppose at some point I better introduce myself and so that you know exactly who's talking to you. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Ferg. And like I said, there'll be somebody new that you'll be meeting a little bit later. Now, we actually had a very funny a scene at one point. But unfortunately, the animals, of course, being wild animals, did not cooperate and did not stay in the same spot. But basically, we had this group of giraffe down below, all facing up towards the escarpment. And then the giraffe that you can see on the far right-hand corner was turned facing the rest. So it sort of looked like everybody was getting ready for a choir sort of sequence, and our friend in front was going to head the whole project, and I'm sure his words would have been, "Let's hum," because it's the only sound that giraffe can really sort of make, besides the odd snort and grunt and strange sounding things. Otherwise, they're fairly quiet creatures. It's so nice to see such a big group like this, and they're on their way back up to the escarpment. We actually saw a couple of their relatives up on the top already. I haven't been seeing them up all the way near camp. They haven't been on the airstrip. The zebra and the Topi have been hanging around and living on the airstrip over the last couple of days. But I think when we go for our runs, we're going to be seeing another species. We're going to be seeing the giraffe up there too. But it's a lovely day though, like I said. There's not a rain cloud in sight. A bit hazy. It's a bit hot, in fact. But we're not going to have any rain this evening. Well, at least not during the show, which was quite cool. That's quite nice to have some clear skies and not have to worry about putting sides up and down, although it's much easier now, so it's actually not really a bother at all. Obviously, some flies, with there not being too much rain to keep them at bay, they're all right after all the moisture. And they, of course, will be sitting around the giraffe's eyes, around their nose. If they've got a wound, they'll be gathering around there too, but no wounds that I can see on this giraffe, or any of these giraffe. In fact, they all look lovely and healthy and fit and fresh. Isn't that cool? No oxpeckers, though, bouncing about. I thought we would have seen a whole flock of them. Well, none up in the front. Maybe they're hanging around, the ones towards the end. What is going on over here? Is this one on the right-hand side? It's down the splits. Are you eating? Look at this. So the other day I was talking to you about how giraffes sometimes go for the smaller shrubs. Here is exactly what's going on. See, they do that. So they're not eating the grass, but not drinking water, but going for a very tasty shrub that's just growing on the floor. And munching it away. Now trying to get it down. Another one just coming through frame. Needs to walk a few steps further. That could be quite an interesting shot. Looks like a very tasty plant. No table manners, though. The equivalent of a piece of spaghetti, I suppose, to you and I haven't actually even seen that one growing around. Looks like it's got tiny little berries, or maybe that's the buds of the flowers. No, done with it now. Not having any more. And there's even a third small head. You can just see the ossicones. Very curious, going, what were you eating? What was that plant? There's the oxpeckers. They're back. So all I had to do is just mention them. Now, I did say that there was a surprise that will be happening today. So I'm about to introduce you all to a fella by the name of Ralph, who is going to be trying out for a presenter position. So I look forward to your drive, and I hope that you do too. Let's go across to him.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ralph, and here we are on Djuma Game Reserve on the Sabi Sands. And this morning, Tristan, who was your guide for the morning, he had you with some wild dogs. But these guys move massive areas in short space of time. So we've been out looking for them. But at the moment, it's quite hot, and I do believe that probably this morning, with that little bit of coolness in the air, a little bit of rain about, I do think that they might have moved quite a big distance. So we're just bumbling around, having a look to see what we can find. I'm new to the area, so please bear with me. We've got Viam on the camera, and we've got Megan at FC. And please just bear with me while I drive around, bumble around, try to see what we can find in the heat of the day. As it gets a little bit further along in the day, we might start to see a little bit more movement. But at the moment, the birds are even quiet. It's about 32 degrees, and we've got quite a few cumulus clouds building up, so it might even be heading towards a little bit of rain a little bit later, a bit of thunder showers, but we'll see how we go. But in the meantime, I'm going to start finding my way around the reserve. First time up for me, so let's do it. And please, as we move along, fire away your questions, and okay, so please fire away your questions, folks, and get to know me. I hopefully will be around for a little bit of a while, but in the meantime, I think we're going to be crossing over to Jamie, who might have something for a little bit more interesting for you.
I don't have anything more interesting for you. I'm very sorry, but good afternoon and welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Jahawi is on camera with me. And very exciting to have Ralph. I'm sure you'll all be very kind to him and as welcoming as you always are. Send him some nice questions, make him feel a little bit more comfortable about the whole process, because it's a bit terrifying. Also, send through any questions that you would like answered on #SafariLive on Twitter. But Jahawi and I have been out almost the entire day. Not quite, but almost the entire day. And we haven't had any success at all. So we're looking for the 5 musketeers, the 5 cheetah brothers. And we've heard that they were in this area. Were being a strong word. I don't really know exactly. It's difficult to gauge at times the accuracy of the reports that one receives. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm driving around all of the shady spots where a cheetah might like to hide on a blazing hot day, because this is one of the warmest days we've had in the Mara, or at least it's the sunniest day that we've had in a long time. So I'm thinking they probably wanted a little bit of shade somewhere. Now, is this the tree? No, this wasn't the tree. Earlier on we found their tracks and we found their scat at the base of one of these Balanites trees where they'd come and scent marked. Don't think it was this one though. No, it wasn't this one. So somewhere in this region... oh, excuse me. This was not the tree. I think that was the tree. One of these trees was the tree. So somewhere in this region, they've been through, they've scent marked their territory, and now, where have they gone? They could have gone anywhere. It's really difficult for us to tell. So what we're doing is we're lurking in the same area in the hope that as it gets cooler, they're going to hop out, and then we'll be able to pick up the signs of the behavioral changes from the other animals. So, for example, there's lots, if I stop so we can scan not into the sun. But if we have a look around us, we've got lots of different animals around. So there's lots and lots of zebra, lots of Topi, Thompson's gazelle, and wildebeest, of course. So if they do pop out of these thickets somewhere, we should see a change in behavior of the animals, or potentially hear alarm calls. So that's what we're doing. We are lurking probably, well, quite far to the east of where we last saw them. I'm hoping that they might come out. If they don't, well, we'll figure things out as we go along. We'll see what else we can find you. But essentially that is the plan for this afternoon. Okay, now what? I've checked all the shady parts. I haven't seen them. But of course, unless I drive straight into the thicket, I'm not going to see them if they're in the depths of it. And they're cheetah. They're animals that are used to moving about during the day, so they're not as likely to be in the shade as something like a lion or a leopard would be. And now I'm just going backwards and forwards, waiting. A bit of patience. Okay. This is really quite a confusing area. Look at all the potential thickets they could be in. They could be in those over there, off to the right. Oh, there's a big hole. They could so easily be there. I don't know. We don't know where they are. The worrying thing is, and wouldn't be the first time that it's happened to me, is we could be following along behind an inaccurate rumor, which has happened to me before. I've been told that the boys are in one place, and it turns out that they were completely in the opposite direction. I was told they were in Naibosho Conservancy, which is that way, and they were all the way over towards Ashnells, which is that way. So it's happened to me before. I hope we're not, though. That's all I can say. I hope we're not. Because it's warm and we've spent a long time looking for them. In these vast open empty spaces, moving from tree to tree where they might have scent marked. Romit, you wanted to know how many kilometers I've clocked in this area. My odometer tells me I was on 360 when I left. It is now on 636.7 kilometers since Friday. So, essentially almost 300. By the time we get home, it'll probably be closer to 4. Over the course of 2 days, that's not bad going. That's how far we've gone. We've used almost an entire tank of diesel, I think, close to. I topped up today. So it's certainly an entirely different world out here in terms of the amount of ground that we cover. I was wondering, earlier on we chatted to Brent and he said he might go off to a very special place to see some very special characters. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. I'm going to send you over to him so that he can tell you himself.
Well, we are with some very, very special characters, and there's not many things I love in the African bush more than little lion cubs. And for once, the little lion cubs are under one of my most favorite trees, and it is a beauty of one as well. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? There we go, little lion cubs under a massive sausage tree. Now, moms are off to the right, and they're quite focused because there's a whole bunch of buffalo bulls close by. But there we go, there are two of the mothers. The third is the one we started off with. But if we just look just beyond them, in the little ravine system, there's a whole bunch of buffalo bulls. Now, they're looking quite relaxed and unperturbed, the fact that there are multiple lions all around, and there's a very good reason for that. And that is because one of them has expired. Now, of course, I have not expired. I've been out all day. The only thing I've managed to catch is quite a sunburn. My name is Brent Smith. I have the incredible Batman on camera, and Batman is going to show you what happened just over there. So, as I said, one of the buffalo have expired. That's why they're not too perturbed by the lions. And there's one of the Black Rock boys, and it looks to be the prettier of the two. We'll go have a look, because of course one of those male lions is one of the most battle-scarred individuals I've ever seen, missing one eye and completely scarred on his left side of his face, and he even has a droopy face. So that's, I think, the better looking of the two Black Rock boys. And he's trying to find some shade where there is no shade to be had. Now, the light is quite harsh from where we were looking at the cubs. So what I'm going to do is drive just around them, and I'm going to warn you. Be prepared for a cuteness overload. And as I said, I love sausage trees and I love lion cubs, and now I'm lucky enough to have both. And of course, the lion cubs are playing in of Hello, little troubles. Sorry about the little black screen. I just went through a little lip. Look at this. There are just so many cubs. There are 9 cubs in total, all around the same age. So probably just around 2 months old. And the nice thing is when all the moms are fat and heavy, the little ones are up to all sorts of nonsense. Now I'm going to keep quiet for a second so you can hear some of the noises these incredible cubs are making. Okay, quickly off to the left. Look at this. There's a pile of cubs on Mom. Oh, this one who's got a sausage. So the cubs have gone a little bit quiet. I'm going to speak quite quietly. Oh, Craig, I know I'm making you jump around. Those 2 cubs in the distance are stalking Angama lizards. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Yes, Christine is wondering, are all 9 cubs accounted for? Yes, they are. Look at this little one. He's trying to catch the lizards. Oh, the lizards just are way too fast for him. But that's the joy of cubs. They have so much energy. Well, I've got a full belly. I failed in catching the lizard, but I am going to sit on the top of the rock like I am the biggest male around. Okay, listen. The females are talking. Now, the reason the females are talking is one of the buffalo bulls is coming close, and buffalo bulls will stamp a little lion cub to death. And of course, there he is. He started coming towards where we are, and he's a mean looking old guy. So the females are a little bit worried about the safety of the cubs, so they've started calling to them and getting them to move a little bit further away. All those lionesses are looking at where that buffalo bull is. Now he literally took 3 or 4 steps. He was on the other side, and the females had no worry about him. But the moment he came down and towards, listen, I'm going to keep quiet. Oh, look at the little ones. They're looking at a vulture that just took off out of the tree. We can hear the females calling. You can see they're really fat-bellied, the females. There's still quite a lot of meat left on the buffalo. Oh, we've got a little adventurer to the buffalo. It's still about 40 or 50 meters. No, not even that. 30 meters. Now that little cub is looking directly at the buffalo. Now, I think if it wandered any closer, Mom might get a little bit perturbed. But for the moment, she's just keeping a careful eye. That has to be a little boy against the sausage tree. Oh, there we go. Some tackling. Now, all these games that the cubs are playing at this age are really important because it's all practice for when they're bigger, when they have to fight with other lions or they have to catch their own food. Oh, there we go. This comes in perfectly to Umka's question. Our sausages, good food for lions. Not at all. The cubs are just playing. They won't get any nutrients out of it. It's just a convenient chew toy at the moment. Oh, that one's got a little crunchy leaf. A dried leaf of the sausage tree that's making lots of noise when it bites it, which I think is giving it much joy. Oh, off we go. Next sausage tree. Fruit to the right a little bit. We have attacked the next sausage. Oh, but now everyone else wants the sausage. These black rock cubs are really, really special. So the first time I saw them, they were probably half the size that they are now. And definitely not so limber. Oh, there we go. Tail. I've got your tail. If watching little lion cubs play doesn't bring a smile to your face, there's something completely wrong with you. You have your brain wired wrong. Now, I must say, the little lion cubs are making me feel a little bit mushy. Now, how are they making you feel? Use the hashtag SafariLive to let me know how does seeing the gorgeous 9 Black Rock Pride lion cubs, how does it make you feel? It makes me feel mushy, and I'm man enough to admit it. So hashtag for SafariLive, how does it make you feel to witness these incredible little cubs? So you're going to have a moment to figure out how exactly these cubs make you feel, because there is possibly an animal when it's a baby, I don't agree, that has slight competition with lion cubs, and that is, of course, baby elephants. But I'm not sure whether Tayla's got big ones or small ones. Let's go find out.
A variety of all the kind. Big, small, medium-sized elephants, big trees, long grass. There's definitely quite a bit out today. I think all the animals are also enjoying the pleasant weather, not having to run to the hills when there's a torrential downpour, because they're quite spectacular out here. But it's a beautiful family of elephants. There is a cow feeding with her youngster just on the termite mound, which is a good spot, I suppose, because there's nice green grass around there, and there's a couple of other smaller ones. It almost looks like someone has just copied and pasted, because they seem to all be in pairs. A rather large one paired with a little one. And I think they've already had a mud bath too, because that young elephant looks very dark in comparison to the adult, so they must have gone swimming somewhere or played. Maybe they played around in the Mara River earlier today. There's so many of these luggers that are filled with water now too, which will provide beautiful swimming areas for the elephants. And I think how green the grass is there. It's looking beautiful and lush, the bush at the moment. So if there was any doubt if any of the animals were suffering from the few short weeks of yellow grass that was around it, they don't have to worry about that at all. It's all back. It looks like a young bull just feeding on the outskirts of the herd, and I think there's another bull approaching him. It looks like a bull to the left. Let's see, which would make sense. They'd probably stick together and play with one another. Now, Roshni, you're wondering why we don't see oxpeckers on elephants. Well, I suppose elephants do have hair on them. They've got bristles. I mean, rhinos aren't particularly hairy. There's not many areas, though, where you sort of see ticks gathering. You see the odd tick on their chest and sometimes around their tails, but maybe it's just not the preferred food. Obviously, we've got two different types of oxpeckers. We've got the red-billed and the yellow-billed oxpecker. You get both in this area. I've been seeing more of the yellow-billed oxpecker, which is strange because we see the complete opposite in South Africa. We see more of the red-billed. And they both feed on different things. So an elephant would be, suited to a yellow-billed oxpecker, which prefers the larger, more engorged sort of ticks, whereas the red-billed oxpecker will go for the finer ticks, the small ticks like pepper ticks and the tick larvae. They tend to feed on those, and they do a scissoring motion through the coat of hair of the animals. So I don't know, maybe it's just they don't have the nicest ticks on them. Perhaps the only ticks I've actually seen on elephants are those bont ticks, those really, really nasty ones, the hardback ticks. They're quite colourful, and they can get straight through their thick skin. But you get other types of birds that hang around elephants, and you get cattle egrets. It's one of my favorite things, sitting on their backs. Often you see that in Botswana. You definitely see it in Zambia, all those sort of marshy areas where they'll occur. And then I've seen starlings sitting. We've seen them, and mighty-breasted rollers sitting on the various mammal species. I couldn't see why they wouldn't hitch a ride on an elephant as they move through an open area, because they're also chasing up insects of sorts, and that's what they're going after. But it's such a gentle breeze. It's so pleasant. I think we're going to have the most amazing sunset tonight. I'm actually really excited for it. So I'm going to try and plan carefully and make sure that the sunset is a highlight for this evening. We might decide whether we're going to use trees. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe we get some silhouetted animals. Elephants would be great up against the skyline, wouldn't it? Now, Kaylin, you're wondering how big is the largest, or is the... How large is the average elephant herd in the Mara? Sorry, that's what you were trying to ask me. It depends. This is a relatively big herd. There must be, well, not really. They're just so spread out. Although, actually, it extends quite far away. I'm just sort of looking and scanning further and further to the left, and I'm seeing more and more elephants popping up. So maybe there's about 40 of them around here. There's also a spot we can't see just below this tree, and there were quite a few feeding along the base of the hill. So there's some more, and it stretches right down far away. So I would say about 30 or 40 elephants is about the average size I heard. I mean, most of the time I've actually been seeing smaller groups. Mom and her offspring, so 3 or 4 of her offspring following her around, whether they're just left behind and, they're part of a bigger group. But also with there being so much food around at the moment, they can just feed wherever they like, really. They're not all missioning to a specific area to where there has just been, rain and the grass is sprouting up and it's lovely and lush. There's lovely lush grass all around them at the moment. So the herds will probably be breaking up into smaller groups again. But you can see exceptional sizes of herds of elephants out here, 100, 150. We see that in the Sabi sand in South Africa too. In the dry seasons, they all come together and start traveling around. But this is lovely. But we're going to keep moving on. I got word that the Sausage Tree Pride Lions are not too far away from here. We just need to try and find them. And Ralph is, of course, sitting in South Africa. Hopefully he's enjoying himself this afternoon. We had some giraffe earlier, and that seems to be the animal that he's managed to find.
Why you don't get oxpeckers on elephants. Now, this is an animal that you do get oxpeckers on, and I don't know if VM can get in nice and closely there and actually show you some of them, but these birds in particular are red-billed oxpeckers, and they will be jumping around these giraffes looking for parasites, mostly fleas and, more importantly, ticks, which you will find a lot on all the animals, and it's natural that we find animals full of ticks, but the oxpeckers do help in limiting the numbers of ticks on the animals themselves. So we've got a very mutualistic, symbiotic relationship there. Both of them are benefiting from this little relationship. However, sometimes this relationship can turn parasitic, because these red-billed oxpeckers will, sometimes they'll pick off those ticks and it will make a little bit of a sore, and then they will actually keep that sore open and drink the blood from the giraffe. So in effect, the red-billed oxpeckers are sanguinivores. There's a nice term for you. Sanguinivores, because they do eat the ticks, which are full of blood, but they like that blood so much that they will sometimes keep that sore open and continue to feed on them. Now, here we've got a few giraffe. It looks like they're all a bunch of males moving around in a loose association. They did start a little bit earlier in a small amount of necking, and the reason we can tell that these are males nice and easy, there's very little hair on top of those ossicones, or ossicles as we call them, bony extensions of the skull, and as they get older they lose their, which they use their head like a club, and they obviously try to establish dominance between each other by smacking each other with this club and the bony extensions of the skull. Now that's a nice picture of the back of the ears of a giraffe. That in essence is a follow me signal that they will use. pretty much like what the lions would do, but they have black on the back of the ears. The giraffe, you can see from a very far distance, just from that nice flashy white on the back of the ears. And there you can see those oxpeckers coming around, also trying to establish a little bit of a dominance between each other. So we've got dominance happening all around. Oxpeckers, being cooperative breeders, they move in family units with an alpha pair that will be helped by helpers, in essence, that help them to build their nest, help them to bring food for the young, etc. So in such a way, they are very good in reproducing and continuing by staying with a bigger group. I got a question there. What is the plant that the giraffe are feeding on? Well, the giraffe would generally like to be feeding on acacia plants, which has now been turned, the name has changed to Vachilia, but they really not like the knobthorn plants, and they've got very big leaves for acacia, or leaflets, as they might be. But it's quite interesting. There's a little relationship between the acacia plants and the giraffe, because the giraffe, they feed a lot on these acacia plants, and as a defense, the acacia puts out thorns, or the Vachilia as the new name is. They put out thorns, but the giraffe then comes with a defensive tactic towards that, and he's got a very thick-skinned tongue, and thick skin around the lips, which he then goes around the thorns, and even if they do, they don't even spike him because of the skin being so thin, into the leaves, which makes those leaves sour or bitter once the giraffe starts to put pressure on it. And in this way, the giraffe, in a few minutes or so, stops to feed on them. I've got a question here on how big giraffe actually get. Now, that is a very good question, because they do get very tall, but I do believe it's in the region of about 4 meters, and I think it's about 4 to 5 meters that a giraffe will get. Now, that is very, very tall. If you think that some of the tallest rugby players are only just over 2 meters, double that, and we're looking at the sort of female's height, and the males could even be taller than that. And what is quite impressive is that when the babies are born, they literally fall a height of about 6 feet. Now, when human babies are born, we need to give them a little tap on their back to give them their first breath of life. And naturally, with the giraffe, they have that little thud down to earth, and a bit of a natural tap on the back to take that first breath. So definitely not small animals, not one of the big five, but definitely big animals in their own right. Right, I think we're going to continue on a little bit. These giraffe have moved off. Let's see what else we can go and find. So, like I was saying, with the phenomenon of these animals feeding on these acacias, as they move through the bush, these acacias, as they feed on them, they start to pump the tannins into the leaves, making them bitter. But now they go one step further than that, and it's a phenomenon called jasminating, where the first plant that the giraffes start to feed on exhibit these tannins. It actually gets pheromonal into the air, and the plants downwind of these acacias will literally start to pump tannins into their leaves as well, circumventing the giraffe getting to them. They will then sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry guys, I'm just going to check on what is happening on the radio. Right, so what I was just finishing up on is that then what the giraffe do from there then is they feed into the wind. Right folks, I'm just cutting over to Brent. He's got something to show you.
Well, hello, Ralph. I didn't even know Ralph was on drive, but I hope Ralph was keeping you well entertained. Now, there's not something quite as entertaining as these little lion cubs. Look at them. They're fighting over a piece of sausage tree fruit. Hello, little ones. Oh, they are too sweet. What a tackle. Now, as all of you know, we're doing action broadcasts, and most of them have been focused on hunting, but I think this is action that is as good as animals hunting. So we're going to invite all our people on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot to join us to enjoy the Black Rock cubs. Hello, and welcome live to the Masai Mara, and I hope you are prepared for the most incredible, beautiful overdose of cuteness. And there's not anything in this world, in my personal opinion, that can compete. Oh, we didn't go live. So all our long-suffering viewers, stick with us. We're not going to be able to get anyone to join us on all the other platforms, but we can be a little bit selfish now. So all of you who are Safari Live fans, you get to enjoy these all to yourself. And they are absolutely gorgeous. The beautiful Black Rock babies. Oh, roll. Upset with each other. Now, it is incredibly warm in the Mara today, and I find it hilarious that all these cubs start off playing in and then they always end up back in the shade. So apologies, apparently we're having a little bit of gremlin issues. I'm not sure why. It is live, and if I had an opportunity to get hold of that gremlin, I would beat it over the head for trying to deprive you of any second from these gorgeous little cubs. Well, there's one who's decided he is thirsty, or she is thirsty. I can't really see. Well, there are three already attached. Oh, grumpy with each other. There's enough, guys. You can share. Oh, tea time's over. Time to go cause havoc with my siblings or sisters or cousins. Or let's just go give Mom a love. Oh, sweetness. Mom, but I love you, Mom. Baby, I am very tired. I have two of your brothers and sisters attached to my teats. I really don't need any more attention for this very moment. So let's go walk down the single line of the sausage tree that's providing shade and go tackle. Oh, sorry, I just heard something there. There is a cub, oh no, that has decided that forget brothers and sisters. Sausage tree fruit are far more entertaining. Now, Cindy is wondering if lions are ever born with extra toes like domestic cats can be. Cindy, very, very seldom. It is very unlikely that they would ever be born with extra toes. Now, the reason for this is domestic cats get that because they are generally inbred and have been bred with mothers, brothers, sisters, etc. And that is the reason why they develop that extra toe. In the wild, that very, very seldom happens because of the movement of males and the turnover of males. So it's very, very seldom that a domestic, a lion will grow an extra toe like a domestic cat, because nature is working. With a lot of domestic animals, like domestic cats, it happens that humans have become involved in their evolutionary process. So you do get a lot of inbreeding for specific colors, eye color, fur thickness, height, length, etc. So a lot of the specialty breeds of cats are actually inbred up into the point of extinction or developing those extra toes, etc. And that is all done by human beings. So in the wild, generally you don't find things like that as often. Now it seems everyone's calming down a little bit here, and most of the cubs, well, at least 4 of them, are having a good drink from Mom. Decided that all the lizards that live on the rocks behind are safe for now. Now let's wait for Mom to give her a hug. Bite Mom's foot. And off they go. Now, while we stay for a little bit longer with the absolutely splendid black rock bebas, let's go to Tayla, who I'm sure is very jealous.
Oh, you know me too well. I am very, very jealous, friends. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself this afternoon. No, we have not found our lions. I'm confused because we were told to look on our left. That's all I've been doing, is looking left, and I've yet to see any lions. So either they've got up and moved, or we've been sent on a joyride, which is not so bad. So I'm going to take us through an area that I haven't driven for a while and look for a pride lions. I don't know who it is, but there seems to be 2 young males that are like between 2 and 3.5, somewhere around there. Then there's an older boy that's maybe 4.5, 5 years old, with a couple of females and quite a young female as well. I have no idea what pride it is. Sometimes the lioness with the kinky tail goes to them, sometimes she's not, sometimes she's elsewhere. And I was listening to Brent and Jamie try and battle it out and decipher who exactly we've got. It was quite entertaining, actually. We didn't come to a conclusion though, so maybe we can find them. I remember seeing them when I first arrived in the Mara, and we saw them quite a bit, which was nice. I enjoyed spending time. We just had, of course, unfortunate circumstances with all the rain that we had, and we didn't have the quick and smooth, easy cover rain covers, so it was a bit difficult. But we'll look for them. We all see my latest accessories, isn't that cool? This was given to me by Eurobon. I suppose he's a general assistant. He does a bit of everything around camp, and he got this for me. And you should have seen, I was so excited. My arm was grabbed and then raced off towards the sinks, and dishwashing liquid was applied very generously all over my hand, and then it was then pushed on. I did almost have a mild heart attack last night because I get a little bit claustrophobic, and I can't get it off. It's never coming off either. The only way it's coming off is if by force with dishwashing liquid or with scissors and pliers. But hopefully I'll just get used to it. Try and overcome my fears of a bangle being too thick, and it's not tight, but it's just unusual. It's like a very big watch. Right. You know what amazes me about Kenya is that you have so much variety in one spot. Elephants, eland, impala, all the different types of birds feeding in the grass. And then you can go for sections of 1 mile, 2 miles where you do not see a thing other than grass and plants. Not a bird, not even an insect have I been able to find in the last little while that we've been driving. So hopefully our luck will change. But ideally we're going to sort of head a little bit in that direction in a bit. I'm just waiting for a road that's coming up. Ngioriare, that one, which Jamie and I struggled to say quite a bit. Maybe one day we'll be able to pronounce it properly. We're just going to pass these guests. I'm going to wave to them and say hello. We're going to have to go past. Hello, how's it? Sorry. Now, Jennifer, you're wondering, I feel so terrible. I wanted to chat. Can't stop and chat, unfortunately. We've got a place to get to. So, sorry, Jennifer, your question was, what is my favorite animal? My favorite animal is this kind. Elephants. Elephants in general. We're not sure if Maurice is a Asian elephant or an African elephant. I think he's somewhere in between. So yes, I love them. I sit with them for ages. Normally, I find Djuma or just South Africa have the best sightings of the elephants. We spoke about this the other day. The intimate sort of reaction that you get around the cars. It's a lot more of a personalized experience. Whereas here, and there's some elephants in the distance which we'll try and head around to. We'll drive. Well, hopefully they're closer to the road, but I'll stop up a bit further ahead. There's another big group of them. And they just sort of seem to ignore you and walk past as if you're a rock, which is nice in a way, I suppose. Obviously, it's really good that they just go about their lives without really worrying about us. But I miss having the little ones curious around the cars, smelling and, you know, getting all excited. So I definitely do miss that. I haven't had elephants doing that. Yeah, it actually seems like our elephants are a lot further off the road than I anticipated, and there's quite a few shrubs. So we'll carry on with our mission to get lions. Let's hop on board Jamie's car though. I know she had her heart set on cheetah, but she's found something that a cheetah would like to eat.
Absolutely. Although I do feel for this poor female Topi, because she is a strong candidate to become cheetah food. She does have a little bit of a limp, which of course is going to set her back. She's also heavily pregnant. You can see the bulge of her belly there. I'm not quite sure. It's not a bad limp, but it's definitely not a comfortable walk. So I'm not entirely sure exactly where the injury is, but if I had to guess, I would say somewhere around the femur and the hip, by the looks of things. I did find lions, by the way, but unfortunately they were beyond the point of our signal range, and they were very much asleep and not planning on going anywhere. So we did find lions, excuse me, 2 big males, but unfortunately no luck with signal right down underneath a sausage tree in the depths of a drainage line. They are odd looking antelope, they really are. They've definitely got goat eyes. They truly are a bit peculiar. Exceptionally fast, and of course have the best stamina of most of the antelope out here. So they are the marathon runners of the wilderness alongside the wildebeest. Excuse me, I got the sneezes all of a sudden. Ah, there comes the gentleman to ask me if I found the cheetah again. We've been circling each other for a considerable period of time. I best tell him about the lions, though. That I can do. Provided he comes in this direction. Paula, I'll say, she looks very pregnant. In fact, I would say that birth is pretty imminent. I seem to be finding lots of pregnant animals at the moment. Jambo!
Any luck?
No luck with the cheetahs.
No luck.
No luck with the cheetahs.
There's some down there.
There's some
Yes.
cars down there, or?
Yeah, 2 cheetahs walking.
Oh, fantastic. There's also a line by the sausage tree just along the slugger.
Big sausage?
You know the big sausage tree, if you go along the slugger, but there's a big sausage tree. They're just down there.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye, guys. 2 cheetahs down there. Down where? I'm going to follow him. He might know. I think he came to call me specially, which is actually quite cool. So we'll try and follow him. Or can we? Shall we do this? This could go horribly wrong. It's gone horribly wrong in the past before. James, of course, wound up following some people to a bathroom stop, I believe. he knows where he's going better than I do. Faith is going to lead us into a no signal zone shortly. But let's go and find. It must be the... I think of them as the Hammerkop boys. Sorry, Faith, what was that? I'm really very sorry, my comms are breaking up. I think Faith is asking for a link. Yes, she is. She's asking me to send you across to Brent, who has lion cubs.
Oh, the black rock babies. They are absolutely delicious. Aren't they? They are exquisite. Now everything's... Oh, apart from those two, everyone else is calming down, having a little bit of a nap. Now, of course, the black rock boys, who are more than likely the fathers of these two, are quite impressive looking males. One sports a beautiful black mane. The other is probably the most battle-hardened warrior in the Mara, well, at least in his looks. So as the cubs and their moms decide it's time to have a snooze, now I have to go through a little area that is a little bit lower, so I do apologize. We might have a tiny bit of breakup, but I should be through it in less than a second. And that's because I want to show you the battle-hardened, scarred warrior of the Black Rock Pride. So we're just going to go through this little dip. Now, there are two males in the Black Rock Pride. One is beautiful and with a big black mane. Oh, hold on, there we go. And we're going to see, I've seen both the males. Now there's the pretty boy of the Black Rock Pride, being very, very lazy at the moment in the shade. So that is the pretty boy of the Black Rock Pride. Now let's see if we can go see the battle-scarred warrior. Now, for me, male lions are always, of course, incredibly beautiful. But for him, I don't know, there's something special about him. The fact that he's missing an eye, he's just got so many scars and wounds on his face. He just is a little bit more special than your average pretty black-maned male. So Faith, I'm getting your comms intermittently. Just give me 2 seconds and I should get them back perfectly. So the second male, he doesn't have an impressive mane. He's actually got a relatively small mane. And Phil was telling me, what was his name, Phil? Shongo is his name. So there we go. We've got a name for the battle-scarred bruiser of the Black Rock Pride. And it is Shongo. Hello, Shongo, my boy. You are quite smelly, yes you are. When he looks at you, it's slightly different. And you can see he's only got his one eye. His other eye is completely gone. And he doesn't have a big dark mane that is traditional to the big boys of the Mara. But that one eye, when it looks at you, he is a lot more threatening than some of the big pretty boys that roll around the Mara. So, the rangers call him Shongo. Hello, Shongo. Oh, Shongo has now noticed that there is a cheeky vulture near his buffalo. Now, I'm hoping he turns his head towards us shortly. Ridgely is wondering whether the Black Rock boys are near the end of their reign. I wouldn't say so. So even though old Shongo has seen, or looks like he's seen better days with the amount of scars and wounds he carries upon his face, I would guess him at about 8 or 9 years old. So he's definitely still got a couple of good years left in him. Well, he's not looking towards us. So let us move further forward so we can see that incredible face. And it is an incredible face. I've photographed a lot of male lions in the Mara. And out of all the male lions I've photographed, including the one everyone loves, Mr. Scarface, I think Mr. Shongo is my... So he's not your traditional impressive big black-maned male, but that face is just too much for me. It is a proper battle scorn. I mean, the stories that face could tell. Hey, big boy. Now, as I said, he's got a very small mane and it's very blonde, but physically he's a very big male lion. And of course, if you look at that, you can see he's been in many wars. If we zoom into the right side of his face, or my left, there we go. Look at that. You can see his one eye is completely gone, and you can see the amount of scars on him. Now, the reason I said he's 7 or 8 years old, if I start looking at his teeth, his canines, you can see they're still in perfect order. And I would hate to have been the lion that gave him that scar, because he survived. Michael's wondering, how did Shongo sustain his injuries? Michael, it would have been fighting with other male lions, probably to claim this very territory, because this is an excellent territory with lots of lovely ladies and lots of wildebeest, and when the wildebeest are gone, lots of other prey. So he would almost certainly have got that scar fighting with another male. As I said, I hate to see what the other male looks like. If he looked like that afterwards and still won, the other male must have been, I'm almost certain, dead, like the buffalo that's right next to us. So that's why the pride and the males are so fat and happy. There we go. There is a buffalo carcass right next to us. Now, as fun as it's been with Shongo and his Black Rock pride, I still can't help saying this. I know I'm probably getting in trouble from a lot of people, but he is my favorite male that I've seen in the Mara so far. And I was very excited to find out he had a name. Hey, Shongo. Not that he's so battle scarred and so tough, he doesn't care what I call him. Shongo, psh, whatever you want. He's very full of buffalo at the moment. But we're going to leave the battle-scarred Shongo and his progeny with their mothers and his lazy, prettier, better-looking other male. And we've heard that there might be some cheetah not too far away. And also, I've got a bit of an imp on my shoulder this evening. I think we should go to an area we've never been before. So I'm going to move off to that area, and Tayla is going to show you an incredible Mara vista.
Interesting as to the fact that you can see how green it is in that spot, and then literally a couple of meters, the green to the left, the green starts to fade. It starts to sort of turn to yellow. And one thing that I have spoken about quite a bit is my amazement to the localized sort of rains. You will not believe how specific they are. And that looks like what's happened here. I wonder if it's a combination of maybe different types of soils, and then also the fact that it was just raining in that particular area a little bit more than it had the other spot. But it is incredible, and you see these patches all over the Mara, and it always amazes me. And that's what the animals are looking for. So they're looking for those green pastures. They're traveling through the yellower areas, heading to where the ground has now turned nice and lush. And who knows, a couple of days later, maybe there'll be rain in those spots that hadn't had rain for some time, and then eventually they'll green up. So it's pretty interesting how it all works, and it's almost as if to prevent overgrazing, isn't it? Because you don't want the animals feeding in one spot. For those of you that have horses or live on farms and have animals that graze, you know how important it is to rotate your paddocks or your fields, wherever you may graze them. Otherwise, you'll wreck an entire area and overgraze it, and it's very hard to come back from overgrazing. It does take a bit of work. So here, having these localized rains, I would assume that plays a big role in preventing that, constantly letting the animals move around and not getting stuck in the same spot. So I found that particularly interesting, and it was a nice little spot where we could see it. But we've even arrived at a little sort of quarry. It looks like it. Can you see them? Maybe I'm looking for lions in here. Richard is our Askari, and he said, "Can you see the lions? Are they laying in front of the car?" Where are they, Richard? Are they far? Were they to the left or the right of the elephants? Oh, I think, Ferg, yeah, go in. I thought I saw something walking in the distance. Richard thinks he's just spotted some lions. I can see some zebra walking in the distance, but I did see something that caught my eye. Now I can't find it anymore. But it's sort of over in the direction of the elephant, so we'll probably head around there and investigate. There's a yellow-throated longclaw, though. Same colour as a lion, almost. Yeah, I can't see anything. Now, Vlad, you're wondering about the air quality in Kenya and just in Africa in general. It's a hard one. I wouldn't know what you would even measure the air quality by, so sorry for that. It's pretty good. Smells great. Does the job, keeps oxygen pumped through my veins. Is that the lion? Yes! There we go. There's the lion walking through the elephants. Well done, Richard. There's scaries out here. They're amazing. Now I'm just trying to figure out where's the camera pointed. Oh, okay, I see it again. Perfect. So we should be heading in that direction. It's relatively good. I mean, obviously, when you head into the cities, like you head to South Africa, you notice all the smog as you come through, and I sneeze a lot in the cities from the various things. So that's not too great. I find the only time I sneeze out here in the bush is when it's very dry and there's a lot of dust that's been accumulated, or there are flowers trees and plants that have started flowering. Then that normally gets my nose all tingly. But otherwise it's fairly good. I can only talk about I've lived in Zambia, lived in South Africa, and now being up here in Kenya, and it seems fine. I don't notice a difference. I definitely noticed a difference between the air quality in the States, particularly in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. And it was so sweet. There was such a sweet smell to the air, which was bizarre. And I longed for the freshness that Africa has. And out here at the moment, it doesn't smell like much. A couple of the guys have said it smells like the ocean without the saltiness. I find that impossible. Like the river. Exactly. Within the tidal rivers, even you get the saltiness. So I don't know. It's a beautiful smell out here. Obviously, with all the rains we had, there's definitely a strong smell. Okay, let's go in that direction. Let's move away from here. Let's go towards that lion. I just need to find a road that goes in that direction. Okay, so we know where we got to go to get a lion. So we're not going to be able to fly there, which is unfortunate. But it seems as though Ralph has got an animal that I wish I was right now.
Crossing in here, we've just looks like we've spotted a juvenile martial eagle. All the birds in the area and the squirrels and the little dwarf mongoose, everybody was alarm calling, and we moved into the area, and then this guy came down, and that was obviously the reason why they were making so much noise and racket. And you can still hear the grey go-away bird. And as we moved in, there was also a scrub hare that dashed for cover, and we thought it might have been for us, but I think this juvenile has come down in an attempt to get the scrub hare. You can still hear the squirrel making the noise as well. We've got hornbills off to the right, and we've got the ever-present crested barbet with his continuous ringing call, kind of like playing a didgeridoo with that circular breathing. This guy's still looking out for what he might be able to pick up, doing a little bit of preening now. Things are slowly starting to come out of their midday slumber. Birds are starting to call a little bit more. They generally don't call in the middle of the day when that heat is making the air a little bit less dense. we've got a question from Henny asking me what is my favorite animal, firstly, and my favorite experience in the bush. Well, I've got a few favorite animals, but I must say, in terms of birds, I would have to say the fork-tailed drongo. I'm one of those guys that likes the underdog. You see how he's ruffling his feathers there. He was obviously cleaning his wings. Getting back to that question, I like the underdog and the guy that's not scared of punching above his weight. So definitely the fork-tailed drongo, and if there was one around now, he would definitely be bombing this guy, trying to get rid of him. Favorite experience in the bush? Wow, there's so many, hey? I would have to say most of them being on foot. One of them was when I was walking on the Luvuvu Bridge up in northern part of Kruger, and we watched a herd of buffalo exhibiting alelo-mimetic behavior, where, quite similar to in the Mara, where one animal jumps in the river, they all jump, and they started to swim across. They got to the other side, they all climbed out, they started to graze a little bit, and for no reason whatsoever, one jumped back in the river, and so they jumped in and they swam across the river again. Once they got to the other side, another one jumped back in. But in the meantime, there'd been a whole bunch of crocodiles that had noticed this movement of the buffalo backwards and forwards through the river, and they started to beeline upstream towards this herd, and this all watching from the bridge. And on the first time when started to move forward and actually took out one of the younger buffalo. He just literally disappeared underwater, and we watched this whole thing unfold. Wow, he's going down. What's he going for? Is it that great go-away bird? He's had a go at something. Let me just take the vehicle back a bit and see if we can get a better view. Roshni, I hear you asking that how long does it take for an eagle to develop? That is a very good question, and I do believe it takes about 2 to 3 seasons to be fully developed as an adult. So this juvenile, I would imagine being in about his second season from chick. Season when I mean going through the second summer, and he's already obviously starting to try and hunt on his own. So mom and dad have already left him. He's past being a fledgling. He's not being fed by them. He's obviously been able to survive on his own reasonably well, otherwise he wouldn't be here in front of us, and he's obviously quite hungry at the moment. So we would hope that he could get something to eat, but we also don't want to be the unlucky customer that's going to be food. But that's the way life works, eh? And the squirrel's still alarm calling. Those are all the kinds of noises that we would be listening to. You hear that great go-away bird still alarm calling. And especially when we're on foot in the bush, these are all the noises that we listen to. Debbie, you're asking what is the largest prey that a martial eagle would take? Well, they will take anything. Most of these birds of prey are opportunists, so they would take anything from a small lizard right up until even a small antelope, such as a baby steenbok. Martial eagle, not the best carriers of big meat, such as an antelope, like a crowned eagle would be, but they would still have a go at some small antelope, but generally they would, especially a juvenile like this, he would be going for smaller stuff, even little birds, and things like that. But they would, once as they get better at the hunting and as they get a little bit older, they will start to take bigger prey. But scrub hares and things like that would be high up on the menu. Even these little dwarf mongoose, which are also alarm calling at the moment, they will also be taken as prey. But the trouble with trying to catch them, there's lots of them, and they often also move around with the hornbills. So the hornbills then act as the alarm for the dwarf mongoose, and the mongoose help to brush out some of the insects as food. Is that a fork-tailed drongo that's just moved in there? There's my favorite bird. I'm sure he's going to have a go at this eagle. King Quad, I hear you want to know, how do they bring the prey back with their claws? What they would be doing there, they would obviously come down onto a prey, and with those talons they will literally most of the time break the back or the neck of the prey, and actually subdue it on the ground, and very often they would actually feed their fill, especially as a smaller or juvenile bird like this. They would try and keep that prey under cover where other birds of prey from the sky wouldn't be able to spot them, and they might just feed on it right there, feed their fill their gullet, and then fly up to a place where they can relax and digest, and then they might even fly down again and have a second, third, even fourth fill. So it's not always necessary that they need to fly off with prey, and birds such as martial eagles, they can very often do that, actually just shift it under cover and then eat it there, flying up and going back down. But there are things like the bateleurs, which have excellent eyesight and very quickly spot another bird of prey on a kill, and they will obviously then come down, and that can attract everybody else, from vultures to bigger eagles and adults, etc. He's still very interested in something on the ground there. Something that obviously is in that thick brush. So folks, we're going to continue watching this youngster. He probably oh, there he goes. I don't know if he got anything. It didn't look like it. Oh, he's after this little baby scrubby, and the scrubby is now underneath the car. He must have been in there. The scrubby is now hiding under the vehicle, unless he's run out the other side, but I do believe he's under the vehicle. Shame we spoilt it for him. He would have had him. That's what he was after, the little baby scrubby. There must have been a few of them there, because we saw one run off a bit further than that. Maybe a little bit of a nest with some babies in it. Here he comes again. So he's gone and sat up there with a bit better of a viewpoint. I'm not sure if the scrubby is still hiding under the vehicle. But what we're going to do is we're going to sit here and we're going to see what happens, and hopefully... Alright, while we're watching here, we're going to cross back to Jamie in the Mara, and we'll keep you updated, we'll keep you posted on what happens here.
Oh, that sounds like an incredible sighting with that martial eagle. I wish I could tell you that we're having an equally incredible afternoon, but the cheetah that we were following the gentleman to appear to have vanished, and we can't actually see where we're meant to be going. Though we've zoomed around, we went through a crossing that he couldn't go through, and now there's no sign of any cheetah, and I think I'm going to go down this road now. Oh goodness, just one of those days. I don't think they've got... no, there'd be more cars there. Ever since the lions, we've had flies zooming around us. We were absolutely fine until then. And now they've decided to jump ship. They decided we're much tastier than the lions are. And they've joined us in the vehicle, and I can't get rid of them no matter how fast I drive. Somehow they stay with us. Okay, oh well. Let us see what we can find as we head towards Tayla. I'm sorry, Faith, I can't hear you at all there. Okay, I got the gist of the question, I think, but I'm afraid I have absolutely no idea who it's from. My comms are breaking up quite badly. But we have a question about whether there are termite mounds in this part of Africa, and absolutely there are. There absolutely are. There's a whole load of them out across to the right of me. They're just much, much smaller than the ones that we see in South Africa. So all of those little mounds are termitariums or termite mounds. The biggest you really see is not much taller than me, whereas in certain parts, oh, these flies, in certain parts of Djuma, and even on cheetah plains in particular, there are termite mounds that are easily 2 stories high. Now, it's just a difference in the style of building. Now, when hyenas in this area have their den sites, because the termite mounds are not constructed in the same way, they're basically just flat or almost flat termite mounds that the hyenas have dug underneath, or at least they've excavated aardvark holes and warthog holes that the hyenas have dug into. Shoo flies. Where's this cute little... there it is. We are on a main road, so I'm hoping nobody's coming behind me, but there's a... no, there is somebody. No, there isn't. There's a sweet little Tommy dashing about. There it goes over there, running behind Mum. Ah, cheetah, cheetah. Where did you vanish to? I'm sorry, Faith, I couldn't hear you there. Oh, I think I got it. Don't forget to send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Look at its little tail going. They remind me so much of sheep with those tails. Come here, flies. I'm going to get one of you at least. No, I'm not. That is why I needed Thompson's gazelle in the car with us. That'll help to... what is that? Oh, it's another little Tommy. It's right into the sun, I'm afraid. Sorry. Oh, I'll show you now, Jahawi. Sorry. Roshni, yes, your favorite animal, my favorite animal changes. No, actually, my favorite animal has always been pretty much the same. Okay, it's dashed off that way. My favorite animal has stayed the rhino for most of my life, but it's always a difficult decision because there's my favorite animal to spend time with. You know, and you always discover new aspects to an animal that makes you appreciate them even more. So yes, I guess in a way your favorite animal does change. Just like, I suppose, your favorite color changes throughout your life. At least I think it does. Mine certainly has. So yes, I think favorite animals do change. Some people feel a very strong connection instantly to a certain species of animal. Doesn't always work like that. It doesn't always happen like that. I would find it very difficult to choose. I always find it very difficult to choose a favorite animal. I know that mine's the rhino, but it's a really difficult. When I think of the time I've spent with wild dogs, with hyenas, with ellies, of course, it's a really difficult one. I'm so confused. I'm going to turn around and head for home, quite dejected. I'm going to continue on in the direction of Tulloch. Let's send you back across to Tayla. Oh, there's some alliteration there. So she can tell you about her favorite animal.
My favorite animal, Jamie. I've already told everybody about my favorite animal today, the elephants. That was earlier. I'm looking for lions now. I don't know where they've gone. You have no idea what a nightmare this has been to try to get to those lions that we saw behind the elephants. I'm trying to find them again. We've had to go so far around to try and cross a lugger, and now I don't know where these cats have gone at all. I finally got across to the other side of the lugger, but they are so good at disappearing in open areas. It's as if they just vanished. Can you see them? Fergus pointed. Fergus standing up. Fergus can see their heads, obviously. So I'm just going to go in that direction over there. And, there we go. Ha ha! Now one is sat up in the grass, so hiding away in the golden grass, which lion's coloration does very well. Who have we got? Who have we got? I wonder. There's also a black-chested snake eagle that's flying around, but we're going to just try and catch up to the lions who are coming towards us. I say lions. I think I've seen two. Here they come. Hello. Finally. It's taken a while. It's not, it's a leopard. It's not even, not even a lion. It's a leopard. Oh my goodness. How's that? That is a big leopard. That it looked like a lion from the distance. Although we had a lion earlier on camera, so I wonder where our lions have gone that we've now come across a leopard. Amazing. My fourth leopard in the Mara. No, fifth now. Fifth different, but I don't think I've seen this boy. He looks beautiful though. Coming straight towards her. That was a nice surprise. I love it when lions turn into leopards. It's my absolute favorite. Very, very cool. I've had a lot of luck with these big cats. Ferg, you haven't seen leopard, eh?
No, this is my second one.
Your second one, yes, it's your second one. So he must be on a territorial patrol. We did see him urinate. Oh my goodness, look at that belly. Look how full he is. Woo, and now he's rolling around in the grass. Let's see what he does. Lorena, you say, way to go, Tayla. Thank you very much. Well, that was just by chance. I still don't know where the lions are, but we'll worry about them a little bit later. He's got an exceptionally full belly. Maybe he was laying in that grass. Maybe he's agitated the way he is because the lions have passed him, and he just slunk through the grass to try and get away from them. So we maybe have to say thank you to those big cats for chasing a leopard out and towards us. He's not bothered by us, but he is a little bit nervous. He does keep turning and looking across his shoulder back in the easterly direction. He's coming right up to the car. Hello, big boy. He's obviously no stranger to vehicles. I mean, he's walking past us like he's a leopard from the Sabi sand. And he's had this wide open space to choose his route, and he quite happily walks within a meter of the car. That is unbelievable. You are a beautiful cat, my friend. An older boy. Doesn't look particularly young. He doesn't look too old either. Oh, wow, look at that. We're going to watch him. He's going to walk into the golden light. Wow, my luck for leopards, even in the Mara. Brent, I don't actually know how many leopards has Brent put on screen. I know he's done a Facebook Live once. I don't know if he's got any live during the show. But you can see, look at all those insects, and they're really annoying. All those little midges. There's so many of them around. They're swarming. They're covering the animals. It really is going to be causing a bit of a nuisance to them. So we might see him shaking his head and sort of throwing his toys out of the cot every now and then. That is absolutely spectacular. Nice, but let's follow him. We'll keep going up. I think that's exactly what's happened. I think he's had his kill maybe stolen from those lions that we saw. Maybe he was just at the base of the tree. He's going to lay down at that termite mound. And he was just, I'm not battling this out. 2 lions versus 1 leopard. Now it's a recipe for disaster. I've got a full belly already. You have what's left. So we'll go and investigate down that in a little bit. Even though he is so relaxed, it's just important to come in quietly when you do park yourself in a sighting with animals. I suppose that goes just as a general rule. Don't race up to the animal, even though they are used to vehicles. But it's just one of those things just to keep in mind. Very nice. Just having a rest. Yeah, that's quite cool. I'm actually scanning to see if I can see those lines, but I can't. Wow. And just to think, I was getting so annoyed with the fact that I had to go so far away and around for lions. And I love lions, they're my favorite of the big cats. But to have a leopard being pushed towards us instead, I'll take that any day of the week. Isn't he beautiful? Now, those of you who are sitting on your computers, obviously you all are, because you're watching us via the interweb. Just looking at him, I'm trying to figure out who this leopard is. I've never seen him before. We're quite far away. I don't know if maybe this is the area. Actually, I think we're in the area now where Brent had a leopard taking on the warthog, and that's what I was telling you about. Maybe it's the same boy, so maybe you can have a look, pull up some images from that if you did manage to get some screenshots and compare the two. It would be nice. Otherwise, we'll have to have a look on the site. Rita, you were asking how old is this leopard? I have absolutely no idea. His ears have got a bit of damage to them, so he's obviously been in the odd fight here and there. His teeth looked pretty good. I don't think he's a young boy. I would put him maybe between 7 and 9 years old, somewhere around there. So an older male leopard, but not exceptionally, old. I think he's in the prime of his life now. Oh, this is cool. Wouldn't it be nice if he climbed up one of these Balanites trees and we could take beautiful silhouettes at sunset pictures? Maybe that's what we're going to be treated with this evening. Wouldn't that... We'd be too spoiled, I reckon, if that were to happen. But he's heading in that direction. Now, I have one thing that I want to show you very quickly in my hand before we continue tailing this leopard. And don't worry, we will continue to tail this leopard. I'm not going to let him out of my sight. I'm going to try not to. I have found a dung beetle. And I don't know which dung beetle it is. I've been seeing lots of spider dung beetles, which are the small ones with the very, very long legs. And I can tell that it's a dung beetle. It's got very feathered antennae. It's also got a shoveled-like head. And is now creeping up my finger. It's shimming its way up, sorry, not shimming, all the way up. I don't know how he got into the car. Obviously flew in. So they have wings, not like the addo flightless dung beetle. But very nice. Ah! How's my luck today? That was perfect. This is going to be a great day. Okay, let's go around. Oh, I love it when stuff like this happens. Nature is just sometimes so fantastic. It really is. So he's just sat down. There he is, just sitting at this termite. I'm still desperately looking in that direction. Faith, please may I have that question again? Sorry, I didn't get the viewer's name who was asking the question. There we go. So, Chat Noir, you're wondering if a leopard has ever climbed up onto the car, or is it just the cheetah? Ah, good question. I have never had a leopard climb onto my car, and I hope to never experience anything like that. And I haven't heard of the leopards of the Mara climbing up on the vehicles. It seems to just be a few cheetah every now and then. We don't really want to encourage anything like that. It is a bit of a recipe for a disaster. We won't get too much into that. There's the swarming insects. Now, these are the same midges that swarm over Lake Victoria in hundreds of thousands, if not even millions. Now, you hear us complaining about them all the time. They're an absolute nuisance, and they bite, and it is so sore, and it forms sort of an itchy bite like a mosquito would. It's not very pleasant. And they're obviously drawn to moisture, so they go up your nose and your eyes, and I was telling you a bit about this earlier, and they just don't go away at all. I mean, I often, before I go out on safari, I put a bug spray on my legs, or mosquito repellent, because I don't want to get bitten. and they love to bite me, they love to drink my blood, and it does absolutely nothing. It's like they're immune to it. But that leopard's got a good tactic, though. He just sits and ignores them. Maybe I could learn a thing or two. Well, I feel as though all of us can maybe learn from this leopard. He's obviously, that's why I say he's an experienced boy. He's not tolerating this. And they look like they're biting his ears as well. See how they're sitting on the tips of his ears? So we often see a leopard's ears being quite tattered. And I think Mvula, our old man of the Sabi sand, a northern Sabi sand, our old blue-eyed boy, he's a perfect example of a leopard with very tattered ears. Most of that would be because of fighting. But a lot of the times as well, their ears get sort of quite crusty. And it's from the flies biting them. Those of you that have dogs or, again, have horses and live on small holdings or farms, you'll know when the flies sort of congregate and just bite one particular area. It's not very nice at all. Yeah, he's worried. He's not a young fella. I don't think so. Even though he's got a pinkish nose, I don't know, he's quite scarred up and he's very big. So pink nose is not always an indication that they are young. Now, Mr. Engelin, you're wondering if the leopards in the Mara are bigger than those in Djuma. I was actually asked this question the other day, and my answer a few days ago was, I'm not sure. I don't think I've had enough experience. But now seeing another big male leopard, they're about the same, really. I mean, you have your exceptions like the Anderson male, who's a leopard we see in the Sabi sand again, if we're lucky. He's an exceptionally large leopard. I haven't seen any big boys like that around here. They all seem to be somewhere between quarantine size and Mvula size, and Tingana, I suppose, to an extent. So I think they're average for leopards. I don't think there's any size difference. We obviously see incredible size differences between the impala rams of the Mara and the impala rams in the Sabi sand. The same goes with warthogs. I've even noticed that the general size of elephant cows seems to be much larger here too. But he's a lovely boy. He really, really is. I'm looking forward to finding out who he is. And if some of you have already figured it out, remember #SafariLive, let me know. It would be great to learn about this character. I must actually, you know what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to send a pin to one of our groups so that I know the area that he likes to hang around in. Obviously leopards are territorial. So they have their favy gravy spots that they like to hang around in. Right, let me do this, because you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to forget. I want to make sure I get this spot before we get too far away. I don't think he's come from very far from where he is now. He probably would have run a little bit through the grass if he was trying to get away from those lions. Oh, you are such a cool boy. Isn't this exciting that we could potentially sit with a leopard for most of the day? Now, the Night King, you're wondering what is the main prey species for the leopards in the Mara? Oh, a black-bellied bustard just landing up in front of him. He hasn't actually seen it land yet. So a number of different things. The big male leopard's obviously taking down juvenile wildebeest. They're making the most of that. Look at them. That bird's freezing. Not freezing as in temperature, but standing still. Obviously realized that leopard was going to walk in its pathway. Yes, you're very lucky that he's also got a full belly and he doesn't seem too interested in you. Maybe it's not the black. Maybe it's not the. Is it the buff crested? I don't know. I can't see from here. I'm too focused on the leopard, to be honest. Let's carry on. Let me get up a bit further because I'm worried that I put too much ground. He puts too much ground between us, and then we'll lose him. We know how we lose these lions in open areas. I don't think a leopard's going to be any different. So they feed on a variety of different things. Sorry, the Night King getting distracted. From warthogs to various antelope and gazelle species. They'll really take whatever they can get, but when the migration's around and the animals are sort of frantic and panicking like they will, he's definitely big enough to take on a wildebeest. No problem.